Hi, and welcome to this month news on Windows 365, release 2303. Donna, Femi, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us. It's great to be here again.
Super cool. So, Femi, let's hear about you.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for having me here. My name is Femi Adebayo. I actually work on the Windows 365 team. I work on all the enterprise networking. So basically making sure that when you buy your license for your cloud PC and you go ahead and to provision it, I make sure that your network enterprise connection is set up correctly, making sure that you also are able to kind of configure your Azure network connection and basically all your connectivity is set up and making sure that all your VNet, everything you need to access your cloud PC, all those things are in the right place and the right setting. So basically just focus on enterprise networking and all your networking areas for Windows 365.
Cool. That's nice.
It's a very important role.
Thank you.
to say the least.
Yeah. It's pretty good to have some network on these virtual devices. Yeah. Yeah, cool. Nice to meet you, Femi, and welcome to the show.
Thank you. That's Matthias.
So the first thing, Donna, we're going to talk about today is the high cloud PC screen resolution option for Windows 365 Gov.
Okay.
Tell us about that.
Okay, so if you're used to using the Gov space, GCC High, you're probably familiar that there's a feature parity gap. So that's just as it is the natural occurrence of things. So this is one of those positive end user experience features that we've now been able to port over there, allowing end users to have higher screen resolution. Sounds small, but those little quality of life creature comforts really do make a difference for end user acceptance. And happy we could ship this one.
Yeah, agree. It's the small things that maybe do the big difference, and the screen resolution is a really important one.
Very much so.
Yeah, that sounds really good. Gov is not something I have been playing around with, but I'm happy for those who does, and now have higher cloud PC screen resolutions.
Yep, and there's actually a bunch of Gov stuff we'll be talking about here. There's another one.
Exactly.
Yep. So with this one, with Windows 365 Gov, we can now transfer files from your cloud to your cloud PC. So what that means is you can upload files. So if you're working through your web browser, there's a little if you're using the web client, if you see there should be a little like an up arrow with a slash, or a dash, and what that indicates is you can upload files to the cloud PC. Again, it's kind of a creature comfort. Some folks may like enabling that. Some admins don't. That's kind of a security stance, personal preference, whether or not to really roll that out. But you'd rather give admins options as opposed to making that for themselves. And for those that need it, that's a welcome change in the Gov space.
Yeah, I guess one other way to get files into your Windows 365 Gov space would be OneDrive. Is that something that could be done?
Feasibly. Again, that's also, I'm sure that for admins that want to prevent that behavior, there's ways to prohibit that access. But you could, sync a file from your local machine to OneDrive and let it synchronize and pull it down. Sure.
Yeah, but good to have both options.
Yep, it's a much more straightforward process. You're doing the sync. Yeah, that works. That's not something that I would really, maybe recommend to a novice or an inexperienced user just to try to remember. But yeah.
Yeah, OneDrive is mostly for making sure that the same files are there when you switch PC. But it could be alternative to this though.
It could.
Yeah, great.
All right.
From one feature to another feature called FedRAMP, I'm really eager to know more about FedRAMP. It's a cool name.
It is a cool name. So what FedRAMP, and I haven't spent a ton of time in the government space. So as I understand how this one works, and if any of the viewers have want to call me out, or if I misrepresent it, throw it in the comments, tweet at us, whatever you want to do. But some services, some governmental agencies are allowed to provision resources in commercial cloud. And so that way they have more features. It's there. FedRAMP is a process that allows government agencies to provision into the commercial cloud. So when we first rolled out Windows 365 for GCC and GCC High, we did have issues with customers that had built out their Azure infrastructure in commercial, but the cloud PCs were in Gov and they couldn't talk. So that was kind of a deal breaker or a stopper blocker for a lot of those organizations, because they didn't want to rebuild the entire infrastructure for one particular service. So this allows to use the enterprise and commercial space for those within the governmental space and want to use Windows 365. So super cool. It's only going to allow more folks to onboard and provision, which is a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. Sounds like a good prioritization here.
Wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah. All right, that's super useful. Next topic is creating on-demand cloud PC restore points.
Okay.
I know that we have been able to do restore points before, but something new came up here.
Okay, so yeah, you are absolutely correct. We have had restore points down here for quite a while. And what restore points are is essentially a snapshot or a checkpoint, depending on which hypervisor and which version you're using. The way it's worked up until now is it's been automatic. You could configure the interval, but it was an automated process. Now what we have, if we go into your cloud PC, and here I am in mine, it's got my name on it and everything. We can go down to restore points, and now we've got this guy up here. Create the restore points preview. And you can see I've already done one of these before. So I've got all these automatic ones that just happen as a standard feature of Windows 365, which to me is a big plus over the physical machines, because it's much easier to restore a virtual machine. But anyway, I'm kind of biased to cloud PC. But now you can also see we've got a manual one. So to take advantage of it, it's really simple. Create your restore point. Yep. And it's going to start backing it up. So
it's easy, like, provisioning a whole new cloud PC. I still remember I got the license. I put on a couple of provisioning policies, and there I was, having a Windows 365 ready, and I could log on to it. I could work on it. I had Office. It has all the settings I already deployed to all my other devices. It was super easy. Like this restore point. And I think this is good for, if I wanted to test something out and I didn't know if it would break my device. So instead of having to reprovisioning the whole device, I could just go make this manual restore point and roll back. That's nice.
And
any ETA on how long time it takes to roll back into another restore point?
As far as to do a restoration, I want to say it should be under an hour. Okay. Does that sound about right?
Yes. I think it's about an hour. Yes.
Okay.
That's cool. So then definitely in the end of the day, when you're done, do whatever you need to test, restore it.
Roll it back.
Then you have it. Yeah, roll it back. That's nice.
It is.
Can you do this as a user, or do you have that to have admin permissions into the Intune portal to do this?
Where I'm going from it, this is an admin. I don't know if you can do that as the user. I can try. If do you know, can we do that? Trigger that from user?
I'm not sure. I'm assuming as the admin, they'll be allowed to do those restore points, but I'm not sure.
I think it is admin.
Yeah, it's intended for the admin, and well, most that use Windows 365 wouldn't be admin, so putting it out there might be, things getting out of control, and blob storage is on Microsoft's side filled up with restore points.
I can see that being problematic.
You have infinity space in the cloud, right?
I thought that was the point of it.
That's super cool. Thank you, Donna.
You're welcome.
And from one cool demo into permission changes within the Azure Network, Femi, you can explain a little bit about that. It's RBAC, as far as I know, right?
Yes. So basically, as part of our RBAC role, basically what we did was that today, to create a Azure Network connection, you need to have an owner role. You also need to have a network contributor permission to your specific resource group. You also have to have network contributor role to your virtual network. Then you also have to have with all this, you also have to have an Intune administrator role, Windows administrator, Office 365 role, then a global admin role. So what we did was that to create an Azure Network connection, we got feedback from customers saying that there will be some folks in the organization where they have owner role, and not everybody has an owner role, right? So they might have a reader role and not an owner role. They might have just either of the two. So what we did was that, based on feedback, we decided that we're going to have kind of downgrade the permission, not downgrade the entire stack, but making sure that the user still has permission to be able to create a Azure Network connection, having the reader role. So reader role permission now, with the reader role permission, you can create an Azure Network connection. You also have access to your network contributor permission role to specify your resource group. You also have to have access to your virtual network. Then, with all the requirements, you can have either an Intune administrator role, a Windows 365 admin role, or a global administrator role. So any of those roles you have will be able to create an Azure Network connection. So it's something that we did just based on feedback and based on the fact that not all customers are going to have the whole stack of roles. Some admins will have reader role versus having an owner role. So we just said a reader role is a granted permission that most of the admins will have. So we downgraded to that reader role. But keeping in mind that you still need to have access as a Intune administrator, a Windows 365 administrator, or a global admin role to be able to perform this function, so that's created an Azure Network connection.
That's good to know. All these RBAC roles, there's so many. If you look into Azure, and then you have in Intune, you have other RBAC roles, and yeah, it's good that you wrote a long doc on which does what, and that we can go read more about which permission we need.
Yes, and obviously, if you're looking at this, you can go to the Windows 365 Enterprise documents and just go to create an Azure Network connection, and you see all the required role you need to create a Azure Network connection.
Yeah, and we will try to link that in the description field as well, just to make it easier for those who view the video. Yeah, but that sounds really cool. And from one cool subject to a long-waited feature, namely Cloud PC custom name templates. Something I've been asking for, at least. And we saw on the video where Donna shared, her Cloud PC was CPC, and that's been the standard provisioning name for Cloud PC or Windows 365, right? So what is this about?
Okay, let me just make sure and navigate to the right one. So I could. Donna, do you want to talk about it, or you want me to talk about it?
Sure. So yeah, historically and up to now, cloud PCs have all been named the same thing, CPC-username / some or dash other characters, which is cool, which is really easy to do filter by name because everything is CPC, but it doesn't necessarily match organizations' naming conventions. So folks have been wanting to change that policy or have a policy so they could apply a template. It's very similar to that we do in autopilot. And that's essentially what this feature is doing, is it gives admins the ability to create a naming convention, using some what do you call it, variables or wildcards, so you can at least say XYZ. That part's going to stay the same, but then the rest can be the random characters. You've got options, but it gives admins the flexibility to name their cloud PCs as they want. So I guess just as a mild heads up, or a kind of just as a pro tip, if you are a Windows 365 admin, you're going to start leveraging this, you may just want to double check any of your if you have dynamic groups or any rule setup, that you may want to just see if they were based off of CPC dash, because may not. You may have some missing cloud PCs in your hierarchy.
Okay.
But
and Donna, do you want me to share the way they can look at it, or?
Yes, please. That'd be fantastic.
Okay, sure. Can I have to reshare a second? Okay.
Because the feature hasn't rolled into my tenant yet. I'm hitting F5 waiting for it, but it should be there very shortly.
I'll do the same. I see other stuff in there, but not the rename or the Cloud PC custom name template.
Sure. Let me share now.
And this is actually really, really good because yes, we see it.
Okay, so as part of your provisioning policy, as Donna was explaining, you go here and click custom PC, and you have the option to rename.
That's super cool. So it's kind of looking the same kind of feel and look like autopilot user, or at least the provisioning for a user. And it's quite easy to put a naming standard in there. And it also says between 5 and 15 characters, and that's basically the same, in autopilots. And I guess it's because of the limitation in AD, not in Azure AD, right?
Yes.
Funny how that legacy software keeps hey, we're going to bring it back down just a little bit. Backwards compatibility.
Yeah. That's how it is, but nevertheless, cool that we now can have a custom name for our cloud PCs. And remember out there, if you have dynamic Azure AD groups gathering these cloud PCs, and you're doing Intune RBAC rules or whatever you do, scope tagging them, please do make sure that you get the new PC in your dynamic rule. So that's a good tip here from Don and I.
I'd like to point out before we move to the next one, these last two features are both customer requested. That wasn't anything that we came up with on our own. That what folks really need. These were requests, and we if you've talked with a feature PM, or you talked with anyone from Microsoft, well, how would you give us the feedback? Oh, it's true. If we didn't have that feedback, that the RBAC rules weren't good enough for their organization, or we need these. It's solely driven. It's driven by end user feedback. Full stop. So please, go give your feedback at the Windows 365 feedback portal. Ping a PM. If you're working with a Microsoft rep, tell them. If you're working with CAT, Fast Track, give your feedback. That's how we know what everybody else, what you guys want. So, we really, really do want it, and you use that to better the product. So. It's a nice little example.
Yeah, and Donna, couldn't that feedback as well just be a comment on the video here, and we could take it back?
I can take that back, absolutely.
just to make it very, very easy for both the viewers and people who know you and maybe don't know any other Microsoft employee that they could provide this feedback for.
We do have the feedback, our feedback portal. I'm pulling that up right now. So, oh yeah, this isn't a chat that's going to get shared out. We can share the link in the video comments, right? Okay, then we'll do that. That would be the optimal place, because that's also being monitored by the product group. So if you're not working already with an existing internal individual at Microsoft, that would be the next best place. Of course, you could talk to somebody, but I'd encourage you to go there.
Cool. And we'll provide the link in the description. So go there and put in your feedback. So to the last subject for today, the FQDN tags. And Femi, we have some more demos here, right?
Yes, actually, yes. But I can probably just go ahead and kind of talk about it first, and we can go into the demo of just showing what the showing what this is about. So sure. So I think I'll just quickly give a brief kind of scope of FQDN, and basically, obviously we released this this past sprint that we just had, and basically what the FQDN represents, it's a Microsoft service, and what you can do with the FQDN is that you're able to tag application rules and to allow the required outbound network traffic through your firewall. So basically what this does is that, in simple terms, for a customer, today we have customers where they want to access Windows 365, and today we have a list of URLs that we tell customers today, like, you have to enter these URLs manually in order to allow traffic via your VNet. So what we did was that we were able to automate those specific URLs, created a custom custom rule set, which way it allows those endpoints for customers directly to their VNet into a Microsoft network. So basically, majority of the endpoints you need that are required on our network requirement page, you're able to kind of use this FQDN tag as a layer, right, to encompass all those required URLs. And basically what we're doing is that we're taking away the change that the customer has to keep track of what URLs they need to enter, the stress of entering those URLs manually, right, and keeping track of them. So we took away that tax from the customer, and we are taking up that tax on our end to make sure that we simplify the process. So basically, it just helps simplify the process of listing your required endpoint that you're allowed to have to allow access through your VNet firewall.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
This is very cool. The reason I love this so much is the networking is the #1 issue that we run into with Windows 365 right out of the gate. And you give, the required firewalls or the required URLs are listed on our docs, and there's just a start to some of them. Then you've got others. So talking with customers, you show them this list. Oh my gosh, that's so much. And so this is greatly simplifying our customers and our CAT PMs. So this is wonderful. So I'm stoked that Femi's here to talk about this. So, okay, I'll keep going, Femi.
Sure. So under to speed up time, I created the policy already. But once you go to your Azure portal, you go to a place called application rules. Application rules these are rules that you've already specified in the initial creation of your firewall rules. Then you go to this. You go along. You've created the rule name. You've created port 80 and port 443. Keep in mind today, we're able to encompass most of the URLs that you need, but there's still some URLs that are non-standard ports that we don't support today, and we are currently working with the Azure firewall team to make sure that those URLs are also supported. So majority of the URLs are supported. You'll be able to use the FQDN tag as a layer to encompass all this URL, but there are about almost close to 4 or 3 URLs that you probably still need to enter manually, but at least it's better than having to enter all about 16, almost 16, 17 URLs, manually entering them. So you have this where you say your action is allowed, then you go and I'll show you just to edit so this is where your FQDN tag is. It says Windows 365 FQDN tag. We also have one for the Azure Virtual Desktop tag. If you have them, the Office team also has their tag encompassed here. But this is the tag you will click and you save it. And like I said, the protocol is we support today is port 80 and port 443. And we plan to also support non-standard ports such as 5671 and the rest.
So Femi, this doesn't do IP addresses. This is just namespaces, correct?
Yes. There's a separate service type for IP addresses, but most of the IP addresses for Windows 365 today is via the AVD gateway, right? So we don't have our own IP addresses, so we use AVD. So basically, the point is that the specific AVD tag here, Windows 365, it used to be Windows Azure Virtual Desktop before. Now is Azure Virtual Desktop, but this specific FQDN tag would encompass the specific IP addresses that are needed if they decide to use it. But like I said, most of the gateway IP addresses we leverage is by AVD because we sit on top of AVD as a SaaS service. So.
Okay, very cool. Thank you.
Sure, welcome. Any other questions? Anything you would like to know about this?
I think it gives a lot of sense to have some more automatic help here for customers, not typing in all these long URLs themselves or IP addresses. So good work.
Sure,
Absolutely.
thank you. And if you're looking for more information, we can go to Windows 365 Enterprise Doc. There's a place that says Azure Firewalls, a new publication we published, and it talks about everything I've talked about obviously emphasizing on the benefit, emphasizing on the URLs that we support, and obviously, the ports that we don't support today. And one good thing is that we also have, because Windows 365 sits on the Intune portal, we're also working with the Azure Firewall team to enable Intune tag and Citrix tag. Citrix is our partner with Windows 365 on all the enterprise work we do. So we're planning to support both Intune tags and Citrix tags going forward. So that should be out in about 2 to 3 months, and customers will be able to use the same way they're able to use the Windows 365 FQDN tag. They're able to use the Intune tag the same way.
I like it. Streamlining.
Yes.
Yes, that's good. It means that when we work with our devices, we have the same way to like work, same interfaces, etc. It's familiarizing our muscle memories, and we know where to click and where to go, and that's a very important part of the operational side of doing these things. So, well done.
Thank you, thank you, and thank you. Like I said, again, this was something that customers asked for, and it was just a lot of burden for them to have to remember all the URLs they have to list and to have to enter them to allow endpoints via their VNet. So with this, they're able to not worry about it. If a URL changes, we're responsible for making sure that those URLs are updated, and this FQDN tag can encompass those URLs so that customers don't have to worry about the burden or the task of remembering what URLs to enter, what URLs not to enter, what URLs to allow traffic through via the endpoints. So,
super useful. Anything, Donna, here on the end of the show? You want to tips, tricks?
I'd say one, stay tuned for what we're going to be talking about next week. I'm super stoked about that, but that's future. I'd like to thank Femi for coming on and being our first feature PM guest. This is our second or third show that we've done.
Yeah, second.
This is our second. So you're our inaugural feature PM. It's been a pleasure to have you on to talk about the feature that you've created. If I can ask just a lighthearted question.
Sure.
Of all the features that you've been involved in so far with Windows 365, which one's your favorite?
Sure, I'm tempted to say FQDN just because of the fact that we just launched it and the customer pain point is helping to solve. But I'll probably mention one feature I worked on. Obviously, I worked with another PM, which he left Microsoft already. But basically, it's the Windows 365 alerting on Intune. So basically, what this does is that we had customers complaining about today. If something happens with a cloud PC or something happens with the Azure Network connection setup, there's no way for them to really know today. So all we did is that we came up with this alerting capability where IT admins can kind of go and set up specific issues like an Azure Network connection. If the image fails or provisioning policy fails, they can set up when they want to be notified of those issues. So that way, either they're on vacation or there's somewhere they don't have to come to the Intune portal to check to make sure that the service is healthy. But with this alerting capability, they can specify how they want to be notified, whether they want to be notified by text or they want to be notified by email. They can set up different languages they want to be notified by. There's some IT admins that don't necessarily English is not their first language, so they can get that alerting in a separate language. And also just helps to make sure that the IT admin, which is the customer, is getting immediate feedback in case there's something wrong with the cloud PC. Just imagine an IT admin managing about 1,000 computers, right? And something goes on that's critical. And obviously, not every issue will be critical. So the IT admin has the ownership to say, hey, I want to get issues that just informational, right? I just need to know. I want to get issues that are warning. I want to get issues that they're not really important, but I want to get alerts on them just to make sure that, I can go, solve what that issue is. So they have an option to set what severity of issues they want to receive an alert on, and what specific components they want to receive alerts on. So whether that's Azure Network connection, whether that's an image issue or a provisioning issue or policy issue, whatever, they can specify what specific components and when they want to be notified and how they want to be notified.
That's a fantastic feature right there.
Yeah. Yes.
Sounds really good.
Yes.
So I'd say on behalf of our customers, thank you for your hard work and making their lives easier.
Sure. And not only me, obviously, there are a lot of PMs I'm working with, my colleagues, Paul Kelling, there's a lot of people I'm working which are working on the FQDN tag. So it's it's a big family of us PMs working together, and even working with you, Donna, and making sure that things are working well across the PM team. So definitely thank you for all your efforts to Matisse. Thank you for having me again, and for all the work you also do. So
thank you so much, Femi. And to the viewers, thank you so much for being here. Donna and I, thank you all. See you next time.
Bye all.
Bye.